Hey, if you're watching this, you're more likely than not in Dr. Steffen's 309 class. And this is going to be a first part in a series of tutorials that's going to help you go through your statistical analysis portion for your course project. So before we begin, there's two things I need to get out of the way. Well, two things that I assume you've already done. First things first, I'm assuming that you have already ran your survey on Qualtrics. So I am also implicitly assuming that you have a BYU Qualtrics account. And I'm also assuming that you have a Box account synced up with your BYU email. Now, if you have these two things, then it's really going to make this whole process easier. So if not, I would really recommend you do so. So let's get started here. First things first, we're going to go to BYU Qualtrics, and this should load up the website. I already have it signed in here. So we're going to click on main menu and go to our projects. And we're going to not sign in, but we're going to click on our survey of interest. So in this case, I'm going to be using the survey that I put out when I took this class originally. So we're going to click on that. And as you can see, you have all these portions and these options here. We're going to click on data and analysis. And we're going to go to the very right here and click on export and import. What we're going to do here is we're going to export our data into a CSV format, which is readable by pretty much any statistical software and Excel. So we're going to click on export data. I'm going to click on CSV here and use numerical values. That way, in our survey, if you had a Likert type format, it's going to convert all those options in the Likert format into a number. So you want to click on numeric values, or else it's going to be kind of a pain to fix it in Excel. So once you've done that, you're going to click on download. Once you give it a minute, if you're on a Windows computer like me, you should be able to see a zipped up folder here pop up once you're done downloading. Now, um, what we're going to do, I'm going to share now my just my screen here. Yeah, I'll share my screen. So then that way, I'm going to open up my file explorer. Hopefully you guys can see that. Right, okay. I'm going to click on that, and we're going to go to our downloads, and we're going to click on our, well, I should say right click on our zipped up folder, and we're going to extract everything. So we're going to click on extract all, and we're just going to extract that. And once you've done that, you should be able to have a new folder that has your uh, CSV file. So let's open that up. And boom, you have your CSV file. Now, at first glance, this is a very messy data matrix. Now we're going to have to clean up. So the start date, end date, status, IP address, progress, duration, all that stuff, that's not pertinent to your study. So we're going to delete all that. So in my case, you see the numbers here. This is the age. That was the very first question that I asked my participants. It may be different for you, but that's for me. So I'm going to delete pretty much everything before that. So I'm going to click on the very top here, drag my mouse to the very left, right click, and I'm going to delete everything. And now that shifts everything to the left. Now, already this looks a lot better, but we have a little problem here. Um, most statistical softwares like R, SPSS, Stata, and SAS, they automatically assume that the very first row in a data matrix is the name of the variable, and anything else is going to be a data point. Now, the problem here is we have three rows that have string characters and numbers. And so that's going to futz with your data because it assumes that this and this, or the next two rows after the first, are going to be data points. And that's really not the case. So in my case, I'm going to delete the first and the third because the third just has the import data on the questions, and the first row has just the question numbers. So I'm going to delete those. So I'm just deleting them here. Delete that there. And as you can see, if you right click and click delete, it shifts everything up. And now all we're left with is our questions. So I'm going to go through each question and I'm just going to condense them into a very bite-sized name. So what is your age in years? I'm going to change that to age. What sex do I identify with? I'm just going to call that sex. Ethnicity, and then I get to my survey questions. Now, one thing that you need to keep in mind of is once you rename these questions, you're gonna probably use um, the acronym of your survey. So in my case, it's the ISS and number of your item. That's one thing. And when you do that, you want to make sure that you keep track of which items correspond to that number. So in my case, I should know that ISS1 is for the following prompts. Please select the option that you identify the most with. I'm the smartest person I know. So I should know that item one is going to be that question. So there you go. And I'm just kind of chugging along here and renaming my questions. And then I hit to one other thing that I want to mention, which is your reverse scored items. Now, in this case, they haven't been reverse scored, or your negatively worded items that should be reverse scored. They haven't been reverse scored in Qualtrics or any time when they were converted into a CSV file. We're going to have to do that in Stata. So to keep track of which items that are going to be reverse scored, I'm going to add my normal naming convention, so ISS6, and I'm going to add reverse. So I know that those are the items I need to reverse score, right? So then I'm going to keep going along. And I know that everything else is mostly going to be reversed scored. There you go. There's that. Oh, nope, that was supposed to be reverse scored. Then I'm just chugging along here, renaming my items. 15. And each time I rename it, I make sure that that question doesn't have to be reverse scored. Otherwise, if it is, like this one, I'm going to have to rename it to 16 and add the reverse suffix. Okay. And there you go. I'm not going to rename this because that's just your base validity question. Now, another thing that I'm going to do to clean up here is just look at all the people that didn't complete my survey. So I'm just going to delete those cases because that's not something I can analyze. Let's just delete those. And you can see here, quite a few people didn't even finish. So I'll delete those. And you also want to look for people who couldn't really give a crap about your survey. So I think in my case, I found, here he is, or here they are. Um, they put absolutely nothing. They put 3 for all the options, and they said they were 105 years old. That's ridiculous. You don't want to deal with that. So you just delete that. All right, so now that we have our data prepped, we're ready to load it onto Stata. But first things first, we're going to have to save everything. So we're going to click on File. So on the very top here, File, Save As, and I'm just going to rename this to 309 Survey Final. And I believe this is going to save into the folder that I downloaded it in. So once I click Save here, I can go into my File Explorer, and boom, there you go. Now, once you've done that, there are 2 things you can do. If you have a box already synced up into your computer, you can just click, drag and drop, into your Box account, and it's going to automatically copy there. Another way you could do it is you can sign into your Box drive online. There you go. So as you can see here, I have all these. There you go. So I have my file here, and I'm just going to drag it, drop it into there, and it should be able to upload just fine. So yeah, you can see it's uploaded there. Most of this process can take a while, especially if you're working with older computers. But the key to it is just being patient and trusting the process. And if you really need to, you can go back at the beginning of this video and rewatch some steps. So hopefully that was helpful. Next video, what we're going to do is we're going to actually load this into Stata, and we're going to run our statistical analyses, which is the fun part of this project. I look forward to seeing you there.